You may remember a time not too long ago where brave young people of Gen Z and millennials were sent out to fight in a war on TikTok.com. And the main cause was Eminem.
Gen Z's trying to what?
It was Eminem, I guess.
Cancel Eminem.
Awesome.
Listen, little kitties, let me make this quite clear. This man was around even before you were here.
That happened in 2021, and against all odds, it became a pretty big story. There were commentary videos, news articles. But as it wound down, I think the general consensus emerged to be, this is kind of cringe. Like, this is stupid. Generation discourse doesn't really matter, especially not something as silly as this. And so, in that way, maybe it was a good thing that that person made that song. Because it taught us all that these distinctions between generations are just kind of made up, and it doesn't matter what kind of generation you're in. It really matters what kind of person you are. Because you can be cringy no matter what generation you're in. Just kidding, actually, because Gen X and Gen Z are at war. You need to pick a side.
Gen X folks are the toughest people.
Do not watch the news. Do not talk to your family. This is what matters. Since last month, a bunch of Gen Xers have taken to TikTok to express that they are rising up, posting under the Gen X Rise hashtag and using this filter. And I know this is not what their intention was, but I gotta say, oh my god, I have never seen a TikTok filter that makes me so certain you were at the Capitol on January 6th. That logo saying rise up? Good lord. But that's not what this is. This is really about Gen X standing up to younger generations that they think are too soft.
For those Gen Zers out there that don't understand the Gen X rise, let me explain.
Now I want to talk a little bit about the two camps in this ongoing battle. In one camp, there's Gen Z, which encompasses a group of people who were born between 1997 and 2012. Some most notable Gen Zs include Ice Spice, Jojo Siwa, and me. Try to guess which one of us invented gay pop.
I was a bad.
And from what I can tell, Gen Z does not seem to be participating in this war at the same scale that Gen X is. Like, sure, some Gen Z people are making content about it, but it doesn't seem like they're going as hard as the older counterparts of this. It seems like Gen X is really invested in starting a conflict, and Gen Z is kind of like unaware of it. It would be like if I said I was at war with just like someone who lived around my neighborhood, and every time I saw them at the grocery store, I went, "Argh." But that's a good segue into the second camp, Gen X. These are people born between 1965 and 1985. Some notable Gen Xers include Ethan Hawke and Tony Hawk. And I don't think that they have some sort of organized hierarchy, because obviously this isn't a real war, it's a TikTok trend. But if I had to choose who their leader was, I would say it might be this guy.
Gen X Rise.
Mustache Man 23, aka Simon. He's been making videos dunking on Gen Z for what seems like months based off of the amount of videos on his page. Unfortunately, it's been 1 week. He's posting like 10 videos a day. He is posting at such an impressive rate. He is churning these out. But I wanted to dig into Simon's TikToks to see if I could figure out what caused this. It seems so random to have Gen X and Gen Z beefing. I wonder if there's some sort of like legitimate reason behind this.
Gen X here. Got a message for the snowflakes out there. You know Gen X goes up to 1965.
Oh, it's Eminem. Awesome. Cool. Again? It always comes back to Eminem. So apparently there's this idea that Gen Z wants to cancel Eminem. He just released a new song where he says, trying to cancel me, yeah, Gen Z me, bruh. And that's a certified stinker of a bar, but it was enough to get Simon and a bunch of other Gen Z people angry at Gen Z. So now they're riding at dawn or whatever to defend their rap god in a holy crusade.
Can we just like start a Gen X hate train, please? I think it's only fair.
Call out to Gen X. I need your help, guys. Some shit's going down. We can't talk about it, but some people are gonna get fucking hurt.
Hey! Simon, you can't say stuff like that. And I know you're gonna call me a snowflake for telling you what you can and can't say. I mean, you actually cannot say something like that. It's against TikTok's terms of service. Now, just to be clear, I don't actually think he's threatening any sort of real violence with this. I think he's just trying to express his emotions in a way that he feels is like cool or badass or whatever. And while I personally don't find it cool or badass, and I think it comes across as dated or maybe even a little weird, I'm sure Simon is not evil, okay? I'm not trying to imply that he is. Don't get me misconstrued.
We can't talk about it, but some people are gonna get fucking hurt.
Posts like this are maybe why he has satire account in his bio. as like a legal defense. And on that note, I do want to say that a lot of people in the comments have claimed he only put satire in his bio after people started making fun of him for cringy posts. So who knows if he's actually trying to do satire or if it is just a defense tactic. He has made a few other videos where he says he's trying to rage bait Gen Z people into responding to the video.
Chips on figure of the weight, so skim.
But to me personally, I can't really tell if he is rage baiting. It seems a little bit too genuine. And also, just like in general, bragging about rage baiting is not the flex you think it is. To me, it's the same energy as those people who are like, here's how I make 10K a month as a TikTok clipper. Like, awesome, good for you, you found success, but it's also in one of the dumbest and most like unethical ways. And you're not exactly gonna build yourself a great sustainable reputation with that. But this next TikTok is a call to action, and it's kind of why I feel like Simon might be a bit of a leader among the Gen X.
I've got an idea and I wanted to put it past you all. I think we should start a Gen X mafia. Come ping pong some fucking snowflakes and we'll all meet down the park. Let's have a meeting.
Can you imagine if this is how all mafias started? Like Al Capone got on TikTok and said, hey, meet me at the park. I would like to do crime. If that were the case, I don't think there would be much crime because I think everyone would get caught for posting about it. So it's a pretty bad way to start a mafia, but then again, maybe he's not trying to start a mafia. Maybe he's looking for friends.
We'll all meet down the park. Let's have a meeting.
And the mafia thing is just like an alpha male way of saying that. Kind of like how if you're an alpha male, you do not say happy birthday, you say cake and candles, brother. But yeah, this one comes across like he's just trying to make friends, and if that's the case, more power to him. That's one of the things the internet is best at, is connecting you to people with similar interests, and I think that's beautiful. In this case though, maybe don't do that, Simon, because it seems like your mutual interest is beating up 20-year-olds.
Where you at, you little bastard?
Again, Simon, you should probably not be posting like this. This is so aggressive. Not to mention that a big part of this discourse does seem to be Gen X trying to come across as very intimidating, and it's not quite working out for them. It's summed up really well in this TikTok.
I want to give you a few pointers on how to present yourselves, because right now I don't think it's coming across the way that you maybe want it to, because you're not scary. Stop pretending to be scary. Nobody's scared of you. Most of the children these days grew up watching human decapitations on Instagram Reels. It's not scary that you listen to Eminem.
Like, if any Gen X TikTokers are watching this, you gotta know that posts like that are not as scary as they would be in the 90s. Culture is just different now, and these types of TikToks do not have the cool, badass effect you want them to.
Work all night on a drink around.
Like, see, that's what I'm talking about, you know? Also, outside of how silly that is, what an insane transition. Yeah, I just killed a guy. But outside of Simon, there are some TikToks trying to explain why Gen X is fed up with younger people.
For those Gen Zers out there that don't understand the Gen X rise, let me explain it. The Gen X folks are the toughest people that currently exist in our world today.
A big part of the argument here seems to be that Gen X is a hardened generation because nobody was caring for them when they were kids.
We didn't go tell our mommies that somebody hurt us, that somebody hurt our feelings, or somebody, bruised our ribs, or broke our wrist.
You didn't tell your parents when you broke your wrist? That's not good, right? A lot of the comments Gen X people will leave also have this through line of like, I was maybe abused as a kid and that made me really tough. And that's obviously a super sensitive subject. I'm not gonna talk down to these Gen Xers about it. At the end of the day, no matter how silly these TikToks are, that's horrible. But I think using that experience to invalidate younger people or claim that younger people aren't as tough because they weren't abused is a really weird take to have because it kind of valorizes people perpetrating abuse. And captions like these don't really make me scared of Gen X, they kind of just make me sad. But that's one thing, and obviously Gen X is pissed off.
It's time for the smartest generation, the toughest generation to get up and start saying something and doing something about this crap that we see going on right now.
And like I said, it seems like Gen Z is kind of just laughing this off a little bit. All the TikToks I've seen from younger people about this situation are very clearly jokes. And I'm sure there are people in Gen Z who are like, I hate Gen X, we're fighting back or whatever, and taking it just as seriously as Gen X is. But there does seem to be a lot fewer of them. Like, for instance, look at the comments from Gen Xers on the TikTok that Simon was originally reacting to. I was bored, so come on, start the hate train. I love making making guys like you cry like a little bitch. Kind of an insane thing to say, but okay. Show me a Gen X person who has said shit about you. Said by a Gen X person saying shit about him. I call you on your bullshit because Gen X doesn't care about you. We barely give a shit about anything. Bye. And this one said, I'm Gen X. I really want to believe you intentionally did this for a huge amount of views and getting roasted by us. And if so, well done, sir. And then the original creator responded and said, insert Mad Max gif. That's bait. And then it links to a video of him baiting a fish in Animal Crossing. Was his post rage bait too? So that's kind of another big element of this, and part of the reason I want to make this video to begin with. I feel like lately, the internet has become a place where rage bait is way more common than it used to be. Because of the way that social media algorithms reward comments, people are really incentivized to get as many comments as possible. And the easiest way to farm engagement like that is to just do something in a video that people will be mad at, and so they'll comment, and then you'll get more money from that post doing better. And this has been a problem forever. But I've noticed that in the past year or two, my algorithm is showing me a lot more rage bait than it used to. And this sucks for a few reasons. Obviously, it sucks for me because I like talking about weird stuff I see on the internet. And I would love to be able to know whether or not it's real or not before I sit down and make a video about it. But on a grander scale, it sucks to have a discourse play out like this, where both sides seem to only be interested in pissing people off to get engagement. Like, if we're believing these people that they were doing rage bait all along, what is the point of this outside of personal gain? And I get that it's TikTok and you don't need to have a point to what you post, but when it comes to something that creates a movement of 40-year-olds who are all angry and jacked up on a TikTok filter, I would really prefer if that movement was not being headed by a guy who is only interested in seeing the number go up on his TikTok creator fund. I would also prefer that the trend wasn't happening at all, because my take on generational discourse, if you want to know, is that it's silly. And not just because Simon is a real goofball. Debates about what generation is better or why young people are bad have existed for as long as the concept of generations have existed. Older people and younger people don't act the same way and they don't get along, and that's perfectly normal. Like, imagine if in like The Breakfast Club, all those teens got along with the people who were punishing them. That would be so boring. And it's already a movie set in a library. How much more boring can it get? I mean, for God's sakes, that movie sucks. I mean, there's no explosions and no one has a cool moment in it where they say,
he's right behind me, isn't he? I love when they do that in movies. It's so fun.
But yeah, generation discourse is not new. In fact, it happened to Gen X. Take, for instance, this article published by Time magazine in 1990, where the author lays out what baby boomers thought of Gen X at the time. They have trouble making decisions. They would rather hike in the Himalayas than climb a corporate ladder. They have few heroes, no anthems, no style to call their own. They crave entertainment, but their attention span is as short as one zap of a TV dial. That's so weird. Wait, what the hell, guys? Baby boomers thought Gen X was annoying and lazy? That's so weird. Wait, what the hell, guys? Decades before that, baby boomers were also being made fun of by members of the silent generation like George Carlin.
A lot of these cultural crimes I've been complaining about can be blamed on the baby boomers. Narcissistic, self-indulgent people with a simple philosophy: give me it, it's mine!
And I'm not saying that just because this cycle has happened forever, that Simon posting like this makes him a normal guy. I think he comes across as pretty weird, and I think his posts are strange. But I did want to point out that he's just a small part in this wider cycle that it seems like people are pretty stuck in and will be stuck in forever. And I say that with full awareness that in a few years' time, I'm sure Gen Z and Gen Alpha will have beef, because Gen Alpha is trying to cancel Quadeca, and we need to rise up. And even worse, by that point, if nothing changes, everyone involved in that discourse is just going to be saying the most maddening, out-of-nowhere stuff to get you angry enough to comment and give them ad revenue. And it may be impossible to know if anybody actually cares or is just rage baiting, or if they're just hiding behind a satire label to justify making bad content. And I know that's kind of depressing, so I do want to leave this on a positive note. I want to say that I'm happy that Gen X gets to experience like a communal moment on the internet. I think as a member of Gen Z, I definitely take for granted that our common culture is like the entire digital world. And I bet it's cool for Gen X to finally get a chance to experience something online that's kind of wholly their own and about something that's like a part of their identity. I do wish that it was a nicer trend that wasn't about yelling at kids on your lawn, but at least this is something. My biggest fear is that Gen Xers are accidentally embarrassing themselves a little bit here. And I think that fear is motivated by the fact that I know in like 20 years, when I'm 40 something, I will probably post stuff that is embarrassing to younger people. But I don't know, if I ever do that, I guess I could just pretend I was doing rage baiting the whole time, and then I'm indestructible. Anyways, thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I really appreciate that because you didn't have to do that, and it's really nice of you to. While you're here, go ahead and leave a comment telling me if you liked the video. And if you didn't like the video, don't worry, it was satire the whole time, okay? You look so stupid right now. You look so dumb because you thought the video was real. This has all been fake. Also, just want to say a big thank you to Max, who helped me out with making this video by sending me some TikToks that I hadn't seen before. He's super funny, and if you're not familiar with him, go follow him on TikTok and on YouTube, because he's great. He makes great content. Goodbye.